Welcome to the Bet Big Talk Loud podcast. It is my pleasure. I'm Chris Hodge. I got Jim Russell joining me. Jim was part of the John and Jim. I'm going to say that was iconic out in San Diego for you guys. You guys had a really long run. I was lucky enough to meet you guys in person when I came in studio. And Jim Russell, thank you so much for jumping on with the Bet Big Talk Loud podcast for Thursday, March 26th. Pleasure to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to join you. And yes, it was iconic. So iconic that I left and moved to the East Coast.
But you're still doing the podcast, the wrap-up show. You guys got a great following after San Diego Padres games. Anyone out there listening, if you want to go check out John and Jim on the wrap-up show, their podcast. You do that after every Padres game, or you guys pick and choose?
Yeah, we're sickos. We do that mostly after every game, especially during a baseball season, 162-game season, doing post-game after every single game. By like June, you're like, what the hell am I doing? But we're sickos and we love doing it. So yeah, after almost every game, we do a wrap-up show, breaking down every game. The Tuesdays in June against the Rockies, those can be a little struggling, but you know, we when they play the Dodgers and opening day and everything, it all makes it worth it.
You know, obviously it's the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 this weekend, so we'll get to that in just a moment. But where is the hatred level with you? I know where it is for John. He was on the podcast a couple weeks ago. Where is the hatred level for you for the Dodgers? Where is that? 1 to 10, where are they?
37. I mean, it's as high as it can go. You know, I grew up in Northern California, so obviously growing up, you know, Giants, Dodgers, that is one of the biggest rivalries, especially on the West Coast, and it's always been. But the Dodger hate for me is I can't stand their fans. I can't stand Ohtani, even though he's the best player in baseball. I can't stand Kyle Tucker for signing there. I can't stand Freddie Freeman, even though he's like the nicest guy on the planet. I can't stand Mookie Betts. I definitely can't stand Dave Roberts. I hate everything about the Dodgers. So I know you talked to John. I'm sure he also told you he hates the Dodgers as well. I'm like triple his hate. Like, you can't tell me to say one good thing about anything Dodger related. It will not come out of my mouth.
That's what makes sports so great. But we have a common enemy in Dave Roberts, because if you remember, Dave Roberts, he's the one who stole the base against Mariano Rivera way back in 2004 to start that rally.
I get it.
We have a common enemy in him. But let me ask you, I'm going to put the truth serum in your arm right now. So we understand you hate the Dodgers. We know it. Do you think they're bad for baseball with how they spend, truthfully?
I hate to say it. I'm at a no, but I can make an argument for both sides. Like, do I think they're bad for baseball for spending for the no side? No, because they have all this money. What are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to just sit on their hands and not spend and look at all the teams around baseball that aren't spending and be like, oh, because they're not spending, we're not going to spend? Like, no, if you have the money, go out and spend it. But what I don't like is how they manipulate things and how the system gives them this opportunity to have all this money, right? Like, their TV deal is one of the biggest in all of baseball. Right there with the Yankees, right? The Shohei Ohtani stuff, the fact that they deferred all of his money, that he's getting paid only $2 million a year, I think is ridiculous. And I get it. Ohtani came up with the contract, but give me a break. That was something fishy going on there. So, like, the fact that they're spending all this money, is it bad for baseball? No, because they have all of it. But on the flip side, yes, it's bad for baseball because it's creating this unfair advantage that, truthfully, baseball needs to step in, and that's why we're going to get a lockout next summer, pretty much, I feel like, and make it so there's not a restriction, but there's like these limits, and there's these deferral limits, and, you know, make it so that every team in baseball isn't, you know, sitting there being like, why can't we spend money, and the TV deals and all that. It's a mess, and baseball has a problem on their hands, I do feel like, because they cannot keep doing this, and they can't keep going down this path, because if they do, it's just going to be worse off for baseball that the Dodgers continue to spend all this money.
So I'm back and forth on it like you, right? First things first, I don't like the deferred. Like, every team can do it. I don't like that. I think they should do away with that. But I'm not a salary cap guy in any sport, right? And I had John on, and I was telling him, I go, you know, do you want to be capped at what you make, right? Like if you do a great show in San Diego Sports Radio and then they come in and say, well, you can only make X. Well, I'm bringing in, $10 million in revenue. I should be able to make whatever. And I'm just throwing numbers out there. So I don't believe, I hate a salary cap. I really don't like it. All that being said, I do believe what the Dodgers do and how they do it is not healthy for baseball. But I like seeing dynasties, right? I like seeing that. And they're a dynasty. And if they win another one, that's the first time since the Yankees three-peated that there will be a three-peat in baseball.
Yeah, you're right about that. The dynasty part of it, people love to hate on teams. Like when the Warriors, I'm a big Warriors fan, when they started their run, everyone loved them when they won their first title.
Right.
And then by their second title, it was like, screw these guys. And they got Kevin Durant. It was like, everybody hates him, right? So in that sense, yeah, everyone wants to watch the Dodgers fall and everyone wants to watch the Dodgers get beat. But they have unlimited resources, and it's just, they have unlimited resources and there's no cap like there is in basketball, like there is in football. So with that, who's going to stop them from just continuing to spend money and continuing to get all these all-star players? Nobody.
Yeah. And look, if you want to play somewhere, right? You want to play in LA.
Exactly. 100%. Like the best market, weather,
yeah.
You're going to get the best opportunities to win, the best opportunities for endorsement deals. Yeah, as much as I hate the Dodgers, it is one of the most desirable places to go play.
So, you have teams like the Mets. The Mets spend money, and the Mets screwed it all up last year. The Padres.
Right.
The Padres had years where they were heavy spenders, and they just didn't work. So spending money in baseball or any sport doesn't guarantee that you're going to win. But it just seems like the Dodgers have put it all together. We're going to spend, our analytics are going to be great. Everything about what the Dodgers do is going to be, top of the line. And I think that's what makes them so hard. But with all of that, Jim, they were one play away from losing the World Series like 5 different times last year.
I know. It's crazy. And they honestly should have lost the World Series except for, that 9th inning 2-out home run. It's just, it was incredible how, look, that game 7 was one of the best game 7s
absolutely
maybe of all time. It was just an incredible game, regardless of who you're rooting for. If you're just an innocent bystander watching that game, one of the best games ever. But the thing with the money spending, and you're right, teams spend a lot of money. Mets, they spent a lot of money, didn't go their way last year. Padres, they've spent a lot of money, hasn't gone their way. They haven't won a World Series yet. The thing with the Dodgers is they can spend all this money and it will never hurt them.
Yep.
Like they go out and they make a signing and it turns out to be an awful signing. Who cares? They'll go out and buy another player to negate that bad signing, right? So that's the thing that other teams can't do is they spend all this money, and if that doesn't work out, they're screwed. Dodgers spend all this money, it doesn't work out. Who cares? We'll just go buy another player.
Yeah, and I was reading something a couple weeks ago where they had already made all of their money back on the Ohtani contract due to the media rights deal. Like that.
It's insane.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But hey, look, it's a long season. 2-time defending champion. Let's see if someone can knock them off. They're still the cream of the crop. I've never seen anything like this in terms of future odds. They were 2-1 to win the World Series, right? Which it's not even worth betting, right?
It's crazy.
The next closest to them, I had never seen a disparity this wide before, is the Yankees at 10-1.
Wow.
And there's only 2 teams, if you look at future bets, there's only 2 teams in baseball that had win totals in the 90s, right? So you had the Dodgers, who were 102.5, and you had the Yankees that were 91.5, and that's it. Everyone else was in the 80s and 70s. That's crazy. That's a crazy disparity.
Yeah. From a betting standpoint,
yes,
it must be awful to try to bet on this baseball season.
You can't bet the Dodgers. It's impossible. No. You just, they're going to lay too much, and, you're going to have to win, you're going to go to 162 games, win 11 more in the playoffs, or possibly more or whatever, and, you're only getting 2-1 back on your money. It's not even worth it.
And last year, they went through a lot of injuries, and they still won it. Yeah. So it's like, if they go through injuries this year, they'll probably be fine because they have a great system. If they don't go through injuries this year, they could push an all-time win record potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a fascinating basketball season. But right now, we know what time of the year it is, right? Everyone is dialed in as they should be with college basketball. For me personally, Jim, I think this is the best time of the year in terms of sports. I love the tournament more than anything else. We're currently doing this Thursday around 3:30 Eastern time, so not really going to talk too much about the Thursday games, but there is a fascinating game tonight. It goes a little later. Arkansas and Arizona. I mean, Calipari's done a tremendous job with Arkansas since leaving Kentucky. And obviously Arizona. Now there's been already reports, because there has to be, where Lloyd might go to North Carolina, because why have anything good, right? They just got to the media's got to put that out there. But Arkansas, Arizona, that is, I think of the 4 games tonight, I think that's the most interesting one.
What do they say about March Madness? It is a guard tournament. If you have the best guards, likely you're going to go the farthest, right? Darius Acuff, one of the best players in the country. I mean, he's going to be a top 3 pick in the NBA draft potentially, and he's one of the best players, averaging 23 points per game. I'm very fascinated to see if he can take Arkansas over Arizona. Like, look, right now, the line on this game here is Arizona 8.5. I mean, it's a pretty big line, but if they keep it close in the second half, Acuff, he could take over a game, and that right there alone makes me intrigued in this game right here with Arkansas potentially taking out Arizona, even though Arizona is the number 1 seed in that bracket, 34-2 on the year. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that Arizona is going to walk away with this and cover here, or do you think that Arkansas has a chance, because their guard play? So
Arizona has more depth than Arkansas, but both teams aren't overly deep. I think it's, and I made this determination when I had Fred Davis on last week about St. John's and Kansas. St. John's won the game. Kansas had the best basketball player on the court, right? So Peterson is a top 5 NBA draft pick. He might be number 1, right? But St. John's overall, I thought, had the better basketball team. They won. They didn't cover. I think the best basketball player on the court tonight is Acuff. I think he's the best basketball player on the court tonight. And whenever you have the best basketball player on the court, you have a shot. But Arizona is the better team from top to bottom. Calipari's a great coach. So is Lloyd. I think that's why I think this game is fascinating. Look, Iowa and Nebraska, both teams playing the Big Ten. And by the way, before, credit to the Big Ten, because if you look at college football and college basketball, which are the 2 revenue drivers in college sports, the Big Ten is really taken over. They have 6 of the top 16 teams here. They've won the last 3 national titles in college football. It used to be the SEC in college football. It's the Big Ten now.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's your thought in this real quick? So the whole conversation, it's been the conversation the last 2 years, the Cinderella conversation, right? I mean, we got some insane matchups here in the Sweet 16. We'll talk about those coming up here in a bit. And tonight, Arkansas, Arizona. I mean, there are some incredible matchups. Texas, I don't consider them a Cinderella.
Absolutely
because
not.
They're Texas. Like, give me a break. Even though they're 11 seed, like, stop it. What's your take on that? Are you good with how it is now? I mean, it's the NIL era, so we're going to see more of this. Or do you want to see that more like Cinderella based, Sweet 16, where there's like maybe 2 or 3 teams that nobody really ever heard of that have a chance to make some noise?
I'm going to sound very hypocritical. This is going to be a very hypocritical answer, okay? Cinderella is what built March Madness, right? Like that, the NC States of the world, and that's what really made March Madness, right? That's what made it.
Yeah.
I like when the best teams make it. I like when it's the best teams. I for as much as people love upsets and they're just very intriguing, and Iowa, Nebraska tonight is going to be a great basketball game. I would have rather seen Florida, Nebraska. I thought that would have been a ridiculous matchup. But
yeah, for sure.
Hats off to Iowa. They beat them. And Iowa is not a Cinderella, right? Like that's not Loyola Chicago with that nun running around, right? Like this is this is not that. Cinderella's built this tournament, and I don't like them. So I mean that's a hypocritical answer, isn't it?
A little bit, and I get it. It's just the way of college sports now with NIL in particular. I mean, the high points of the world. That was a good story.
It was a good story.
They're not gonna reach where they could potentially have reached if it was 10 years ago, right? Because 10 years ago you're not dealing with the NIL aspect of it. You're not dealing with the transfer portal. Like you're just not dealing with that. And in today's game, it's so difficult if you're not a power conference team with a lot of money to make it far into the tournament. It's just really hard. And I'm kind of leaning towards what you're saying here because I'm looking at these matchups and I'm like, yo, St. John's Duke, sign me up.
Great
Michigan
matchup.
Alabama, sign me up. UConn Michigan State, are you kidding me? Sign me up. Like Arizona Arkansas with Calipari, like sign me up. Like that is what is going to draw and get a bunch of the ratings. And it sucks for the Cinderella, but it's just the way it is now. And I think when the execs look at the ratings come on, Saturday or Sunday, and you're like, wow, that UConn Michigan State game, that drew a big one. No one's going to be like, you know what? We should have had High Point in the game or whatever. No one's going to say that. And everyone's going to watch too.
It's funny for me because I'm like, the calendar did the tournament a great service and men in particular, because if Easter was this Sunday, I mean, the divorce rate would go through the roof. Right.
Sorry, honey.
Right.
Can't do Easter dinner.
Right. But
can't look for the eggs with the kids. You got to watch this game. Yeah.
Right. Like the divorce rate that could happen this weekend with these 4 days of what's coming up in basketball. Like I'm sitting there. So my football team that I coach, and when I was in San Diego, we were out there playing the San Diego Enforcers. We're playing in DC on Saturday. So I'm leaving tomorrow, playing in DC, and St. John's is playing Duke in D.C. Now, I can't go Friday night because I got a team meeting, right? But I told my wife, hey, St. John's wins in the Sweet 16. We're going to the regional final. So she's like, I got to hang in D.C. an extra day? Yes.
Yep.
And I'm like, you know what? She was upset about this, Jim. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, you know what she said to me, Jim? She goes, a bunch of college kids running around making a bunch of noise and just a basketball game. That doesn't sound like fun for me. And I'm like, who are you?
Oh, no.
Right.
Does she know that this is the first Sweet 16 for St. John's since 1999?
So does she know that it's the first Sweet 16 for St. John's since she met me and I went to St. John's?
That's all you need to say for her to, say, hopefully, oh, I get it, honey.
No. There was no I get it, honey. She's actually read. She's listening to this. You know how I break her balls with the Mets. She's actually rooting against St. John's tomorrow night. What blasphemy. Like, are you kidding me?
No, that's just not how. No. I'm sorry. If you're a St. John alum, if you're, Johnny, like tomorrow is, I would say, the biggest game since at least 1999, obviously.
This century.
Yeah, the century. Exactly. The century. Biggest game in the century for the program.
Oh, man. So, listen, I'm hoping they win. My wife might not be too happy about it if we're hanging around D.C. all day on Sunday. But listen, if it came down to St. John's and UConn in a regional final, yeah. I mean,
oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
that would be incredible.
Incredible. So, but my wife doesn't think that atmosphere would be good. Well, like, what do you do here? Right. What do you do here?
Has she gone to a sporting event before? Does she understand how cool and fun they are?
Boy, she's gonna get on me. She probably not even paying attention to me right now. She's probably watching the Mets game. So like,
hey, they're doing well. They beat up Paul Skeens today.
Yeah, well, they did. It's funny. It kind of backfired on me. And we're doing this podcast. That game is still being played. But the first two batters for Pittsburgh, one reached, and then the second guy hit a home run. And I'm texting all the Met fans already.
Season's over, right?
And then they hang 5 on Skeens with the center field and not being able to field the ball in the first inning. But yeah, man, I hope. Let's see if St. John's gets by, and you'll be at the regional final on Sunday. Let me ask you a question: of the 16 teams that are left here, right? Does anyone, like, if Alabama beats Michigan, like, is that a shock? Any of these 16 teams win? Right? Does it shock you where you're like, wow, like I didn't expect that?
If I'm looking right now, we briefly mentioned Texas, right? I think if Texas beat Purdue, I don't know if I would be like completely shocked. It would surprise me. Iowa beating Nebraska, I think would surprise me. But if I'm looking at just the overall right now, I mean, yeah, I think I would go Alabama beating Michigan.
It's Alabama, right? Like, if they win that game, especially with the arrest they had, and Texas tonight, Pope might be out. He's got a ankle sprain. But if Alabama beats Michigan, that would. And I was surprised last week when Iowa would beat Florida. I did not expect that to happen. And it would be if Michigan goes down tonight, I would be tomorrow night. I'd be surprised.
And I've watched Michigan up close and personal because they played San Diego State this past year.
And they beat them by like 90, right?
Yeah, they just killed them. After watching that game, I'm like, that's a Final Four team.
Yeah.
Like that is one of, if not the best team in the country. And it was early in the season. I think it was like, because it was the NIL tournament in Las Vegas. I forget, it was probably like, first month of the year.
Yep.
But even then, I'm just like, Michigan is one of the best teams in the country. So yeah, if Alabama, with all their issues that they got going on, if they somehow beat Michigan, Michigan is this 8.5-point favorite. Just the size of Michigan alone, that would be the most shocking upset for me in the next couple of days.
Yeah, and I think the best game of the 8 is the Michigan State UConn game.
Yeah,
I mean, I think by far that is the best game. I think that's
the hardest one to figure out.
I was just saying that, man. You read my mind from a gambling standpoint. My company, I'm telling you right now, we're not on that game either which way. We think that's the hardest game. Two iconic coaches. Now, what's the age-old saying? You said it a little earlier. You need guard play in this tournament, but you also need coaching, right?
100%. Guards and coaching.
Coaching, wins these games. I mean, Hurley
is over. Hurley, yeah.
I mean, where do you go with that? You have two guys walking to the Hall of Fame. Oh, Izzo's already in it, right? So you have two iconic coaches. I think that's the hardest game to call, and I believe that's going to be the best overall game of the 8. Could be wrong, but I think that's going to be the best game.
I hate Dan Hurley with a passion. I just don't like Dan Hurley at all.
What did he do to you?
Well, first off, the UConn beat San Diego State in the national championship game a couple of years ago.
Oh, man.
So I'm a little,
sour,
as a little sour on that. And I just his antics on the sideline. I mean, I'm just like, oh my, give me a break. He's always just yelling at the refs no matter what. He's on the sideline just screaming his head off. And, I think they went to the Maui Invitational this past season or last year, and he was just ripping the Maui Invitational like, oh, poor you. You get to go to Hawaii for a week to play some basketball games, and you guys didn't play well. So now you're blaming the Invitational that you guys didn't play well. Like, give me a break. So that's why I'm taking Michigan State in this game, just because I don't like Dan Hurley. I just don't like Dan Hurley. Like, I'm like Michigan State. Like, I got no other reason why. I just don't like Dan Hurley.
Got you, man. You know what's the he did an interview with his wife, and it was just like the cutest interview because she was like, I think she called him a glorified gym teacher. I think that's what. And I'm not trying to put words in obviously his wife's mouth, but I think that's what she's like. You're a glorified gym teacher. It's not that important. You don't do surgery. You don't do any of this. You're a basketball coach. Like, what are you getting? What are you getting all upset about? And he's just like, that just couldn't be further from the truth. She just doesn't understand. It was a great interview.
Sounds like the dynamic between you and your wife a little bit.
It's very frustrating. Like very, very, very frustrating. What my wife says to me, I saw this meme months and months ago. She goes, my life, this was in September, she said this to me. She goes, my life for the next 7 months depends on the outcomes of sporting events from 18 to 19-year-olds.
Yep, 100%. Yeah. My life and the way that I act and my emotions are based on what my favorite sports team does. It's 100% that way. Like during football season, because I'm a huge 49er fan. And when Sundays come around, if Niners win, greatest day ever. If they lose, sorry, honey, I need at least 2 to 3 hours of cool down time before you even talk to me.
Yeah, it gets rough. Unfortunately for me, and I'm not an angry person. I don't think I am, but I've broken 3 TVs this year. 3.
That's it. That's good. The over under was 3.5. So I'm proud of you.
And I still, in my personal office, in my overall office, I broke that TV and I won't put one up.
Did you throw something at it, or was it like a punch, or did you ripped off the wall?
Ripped off the wall, and I'll tell you exactly when it happened. Arizona was playing Tennessee in the NFL, and the Arizona player, I forget who it was, but he's running for a touchdown, and he dropped the ball before the end zone. And then that didn't create the TV getting thrown. About 10 minutes after that, Arizona picked off a pass, ran it out of the end zone, fumbled it back into the end zone for a touchdown, and the TV, that was the end of that.
That's it. I understand that one. That would be a justified TV ripping off the wall.
And then, there was one Sunday I threw my entire family out of the house.
I get it. I mean, that's just what happens on Sundays. It's just the emotions are at an all-time high, and sometimes you can't control it.
My oldest son's girlfriend was there. She was a sweetheart. She's been around for years. Everyone, get the fuck out. Like, everyone just get out. And then my wife was so upset. When she's talking to me a couple days later, she's like, "You threw us out on a Sunday. Does it make a difference if it was a Thursday, right? Like,
Right.
like,
oh, sorry. I should have done it on a Tuesday. My bad.
I threw you out on the Lord's Day. Like,
yeah. At least there's nothing going on today, so you can do something outside, even though it was probably cold because the East Coast here has been a disaster.
Oh, it's been bad over here, and you I feel so bad for you, man. You were living in San Diego for a long time.
Bro, I'm a California kid. Grew up my whole life in California. Spent 36 years there, and of course, me and my wife moved here during the worst winter in like the last 50 years. It has been the biggest shock of my entire life. Hopefully we're past it all now, and it's actually pretty nice outside today, and hopefully we're getting to spring and whatnot. But shoveling snow was not on my bingo card for my life, and it just happened, and it was bad. It was very bad.
Yeah, it sucks. And I have 3 sons, and these lazy fucks, man. They're asking me, they're like, "Can you get a snowblower?" I'm like, "I got you."
Yeah, you're the shovel.
Yeah, right. You, and then they hit me for money. I'm like, "Yeah, you want to eat tonight?" Right?
Yeah,
that's your payment. Get out of here.
Exactly. Yeah. I wish if I had kids, I'd make them do the same thing.
Absolutely.
Go shovel, and then I'll feed you later tonight.
Absolutely. But you have a wife, and the wife sticks up for them, and all of a sudden now you end up losing that battle. But it
100%.
is what it is. We got Jim Russell joining us. Jim was part of the iconic John and Jim radio show. He also does the podcast, the wrap-up show with John after all the Padre games. Definitely from a entertainment standpoint, I really do believe this tournament, even though we don't have the Cinderella, so to speak, I think this tournament's been very interesting. Look, Texas is here making a game-winning shot. Iowa,
St.
Florida. St. John's is here, shot at the buzzer. Iowa, Florida, shot right before the buzzer. And then Vanderbilt, right? Nebraska. I mean, they were up, and then they had one rim out from half court. There's been some games, man, that have just come right down to the wire.
I think, you're absolutely right. And I was going to say, I think the problem a little bit with March Madness sometimes is that people want a game winner every single game. Like, they want the greatest game ever played. They want, back and forth. They want game-winning half-court shots. And if you don't get a ton of that, then you're quote-unquote disappointed by the tournament. This tournament, like you said, you've gotten that. You've gotten the game-winning shots. You've gotten the almost half-court shots that were in and out, like literally half the basketball in the hoop and rim out. You've gotten a couple upsets of, over Florida, right? You got the St. John winner over Kansas. You've had some entertaining things happen in this tournament, and I'm with you. I think it's been a really good tournament so far. I don't think it's been like an elite tournament, right? But it's been a really good tournament, and you're not always going to get the elite tournament so far. And by the way, we're just reaching the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
So we have another half of the tournament to go, right? The national championship game could be the best championship game in the history of college basketball.
Absolutely.
We don't know that yet.
And you asked me about upsets. I don't like the upsets, but Jim, I like the almost upset.
The make you tune in to see if it happens, but it doesn't happen, but it still makes you watch.
I was happy Duke won, but I was happy Siena gave them all they can handle.
Absolutely. And it's a great game to invest in.
Sure.
And you're not just turning it off at halftime because team's up by 70 points, right? You're not doing that, and there's a chance. And that's the thing is, you watch these games for the thrill and the chance of that potential upset, right? I'm sure a lot of people are going to pick Duke, even though actually I'm picking St. John over Duke tomorrow. But people are going to root for the underdog, and a lot of people are going to root for St. John tomorrow, right? And you're going to watch that game, and if it's close, everyone's gonna be watching. And so same thing tonight against Arizona, right? Arkansas, Arizona. People are gonna watch that game and hope for the upset. And that's what you do in college basketball and tournament time is you want the upset, but for your side, you want the almost upsets. You want to be just entertained. And if games are being decided by 15, 20 points, like UConn a couple years ago, they ran through the tournament. Every game they won by double digits. Every game they played in pretty much wasn't that entertaining.
They covered every game.
Covered every game. Until the national championship when they played San Diego State. And if you remember, in that game, I think with 8 minutes to go, San Diego State cut the lead to 5. Yeah. And it was like, whoa.
It was what just happened?
What's going on here? And again, then that was the closest they ever got. But still, the almost made it so intriguing to watch.
San Diego State's an odd team to me, right? Because I don't consider that conference. I mean, am I wrong? I don't consider that conference a Cinderella conference. I don't.
Not anymore because the Pac-12.
Well, even when like this year, yeah, you're right. This year they had 7 of like the top 60 teams in KenPom, right? Like they were a good
They
conference.
had one tournament team, like that was weird.
Yeah, well, Utah State, right? That was it.
That was
right?
it.
Yeah, that was it. But I don't consider San Diego State. I guess Utah State I would, but I don't consider San Diego State a Cinderella if they make a run. I don't.
No, they're not. They're not considered a Cinderella. And when they made the national championship run, a couple years ago, that was at the like start of when NIL really started popping off. Transfer portal was already a thing, but their team was stacked, right? And so, I mean, you had Jaden Ledee, who the following year became one of the best players in all of college basketball. You had like fourth, fifth year seniors on that team. I'm with you, especially now going to the Pac-12. You're going to have Gonzaga in that conference. Like that's not going to be a Cinderella conference. I know that it's not a quote unquote power league, right? Like the Big 12, the Big 10, or the SEC, but still you're going to have San Diego State and Gonzaga, Utah State, Boise State in one conference together now.
Yeah.
Like Oregon State and like Washington State, like that's going to be a pretty damn good conference. That's not a Cinderella conference. No way.
Yeah, I agree. And, the thing with Gonzaga is they've made the tournament like 27 straight years.
Yeah,
right?
Mark, you just can't get him past any, the Sweet 16.
Yeah, and that's one team that I would like to see win. Like at some point, I think that would be a fascinating story. Like if they finally broke through after 30 years of like knocking on the door. I would like to see that team, and I don't consider them a Cinderella either. They go 27-3 every friggin' year, and they win tournament games. So that's a team I would like to see break through if there was going to be a team to do it like them.
Yeah, no, they're a team that is always knocking on the door. They're always in the conversation. They're always in like the Sweet 16 and whatnot. They just can't get over that hump for some odd reason. But if they ever won a national championship one day, hopefully it's with Mark Few there, because if it's not, that's gonna be a bitter pill to swallow for him.
So I'm gonna ask you a question before I let you go, and I know I'm gonna get taken apart for this question. I'm gonna get destroyed for it, right? I'm gonna get destroyed for what I feel, and I think you're gonna disagree with me. But so Hubert Davis gets fired from North Carolina.
Okay,
all right. I do not consider North Carolina a premier college basketball job anymore. Am I an idiot? Be honest with me.
You're an idiot.
I love it. I love it.
Why don't you consider them a premier brand?
Okay. It's such a thing for me. So Duke is right down the road. So I think Duke, 8 miles away, I think Duke is the premier brand, right? From North Carolina. I don't think Kentucky is a premier brand anymore because Calipari left Kentucky, went to Arkansas, has been in the Sweet 16. With NIL, like I don't consider Alabama a premier brand in college football anymore. Saban left. So once like Roy Williams left, I feel like that job just lost its luster. And again, you say you're an idiot, and a lot of people are going to say that. I don't look at North Carolina like I used to, just the same way I don't look at Alabama in college football like I used to. And I'm sure I'm in a minority with that.
Does it matter who they hire as a head coach, though?
So if they went and got
they haven't hired anybody yet.
Right. If they went and got a name and, hey, look, this is a team that I think they were in the first 4 last year, right?
Yep,
they won
beat
a game.
San Diego
they
State
beat
by
San Diego
50.
State, right. But then they lost in the first round.
Yep.
Now you blow a 19-point lead to VCU. Not Arkansas, not St. John's, VCU. You blew a 19-point lead to VCU. And that's why the coach gets fired. It just seems like to me, if there's 2 teams, like Duke is the more iconic brand right now, and they're right down the road. And it almost, the North Carolina fans are going to kill me for this. It almost is like North Carolina is little brother right now. Oh, I can only see the comments coming in.
I mean, you could say that, but if you're looking at the history of the brand, I mean, Duke, North Carolina, they're on even footing if you're looking at the history. Recently, yeah, you could say that. I just think that with the alum that from North Carolina, the history from North Carolina. I get it. The NIL has changed the conversation. It's more a lot about who has the most money instead of who has the biggest brands, right? The Kansases and the Dukes and the North Carolina, like those are the biggest blue blood brands. I saw there was a conversation, I forget who said it today, that someone was like, yeah, there's no blue bloods anymore in college basketball. That might have been Rick Pitino, I think it was, where he mentioned there was no blue bloods in college basketball anymore because NIL has taken away that opportunity for the biggest brands to go out and recruit and bring kids in. It's just about who has the most money, right? So I understand from that standpoint, but I just don't think the history with that program and what it has, that they're ever going to allow themselves to be quote unquote little brother for too long. I just don't see that happening.
But they are little brother right now.
Right now, you can make that argument, and I would agree with you, yes. But
if Duke wins the national title this year, and that's a big if, they have injuries and it's a long way to go. Right. But if they win a national title this year, North Carolina's little brother.
Yeah, of course, because Duke won and North Carolina didn't. But the flip side is, if North Carolina won and Duke didn't, you would say the same thing about Duke and North Carolina.
I just, for some reason, I feel like Kentucky, I feel like they're on a downward trend after losing Calipari. I feel like North Carolina is in that same vacuum. I feel like Roy Williams, and I don't know now, who do you go get, right? Maybe you get the guy from Michigan. I don't think he would leave there after a couple years. Maybe Lloyd, he's been mentioned from Arizona, but Arizona's a great college basketball job right now. Like, I don't know why you'd leave that. I heard Patino's name mentioned because he's a mercenary. He'll just go wherever.
Right. Who has the most money? I'll go do it. Yeah.
But like, I just don't know. There was Billy Donovan. I heard the name Billy Donovan mentioned with North Carolina. Now, that would be a fascinating hire. But until you start going deep into the tournament again, you're just a name. That's how I feel. Until you make it to an Elite Eight, Final Four, you're just a name. And that's what North Carolina is right now. They're just a name to me right now.
What if you swung big, and this is a crazy name to throw out there, Bill Self?
I mean, would he leave Kansas? What job is better? Is the Kansas job better or the North Carolina job better?
If North Carolina can pay him a boatload of money, right?
So the NIL money, and it all comes down to that. But, right now, the Big Ten in college football and college basketball is the premier conference, in my opinion.
Yep.
The SEC in college football and college basketball, they're right under the Big Ten. Like, that's 1A, 1B, right? Where is the ACC? Forget the ACC in football. Forget it.
Oh, right?
A waste of time. And you got, what is there, one team here in the Sweet 16 from the SEC? Duke? Is there another one? Like, I think it's just Duke, right?
I think it's just Duke, yeah.
Yeah, Duke, right? The Big East has two. The ACC's got one. The Big Ten's got six. How many did the Big 12 have? The SEC has Alabama, Tennessee, right off the top of my Texas. The ACC has one, and they're an afterthought in football.
Well, in 10 years from now, conferences probably won't even exist. It'll probably just be like, the East and the West or whatever, how they do, whatever they're going to do. Because the conferences, that conversation, it's a conversation for another day.
Yep.
But like, it's just going to be, the Big Ten and the SEC in football, and then in basketball, it's going to be the Big Ten and, whatever, right? It's like, that's just what it's going to be, because these conferences, like you said, ACC's got one team in the tournament and Sweet 16. Like, that's crazy. If you told me that 10 years ago, you're like, what are you talking about?
Right. Absolutely. So. And they didn't really even have, I guess Virginia played, well against Tennessee. They had a shot to win that game. But, North Carolina out in the first round, NC State out against Texas. Like, you had a bunch of ACC teams that didn't even make noise. And Duke was 5 minutes away from being out against Siena.
I know. They were about to suffer the dreaded 16-1 loss. It's only happened, once or twice in the history of the tournament?
Absolutely. So I talked to, before I let you go, I talked to John off the air a couple weeks ago. And I said, obviously baseball season's coming up. It starts today. So we got to make a bet here, right? So if the Padres, by some miracle, play the Yankees in the World Series by some miracle, we got to make sure you guys come out to New York for a game. You can come be my guests. Okay. And you guys, I'll go over. I know you're in Philly right now, but we got to go over to San Diego, and we got to watch that game in person.
Perfect. It's a drive. It's a quick drive. Well, not a quick drive, but I can make it to New York now, no problem. And don't tell me, go back to San Diego. Like, oh no, I have to go back to San Diego.
Right.
So,
it's such a terrible thing.
It's awful, awful thing. Yeah. I'm in. If by some miracle that happens,
yeah,
Yankees. Man. There's a chance the Yankees can make the World Series this year if they stay healthy. But Padres, they They need they need some help. They need some help for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Dodgers, obviously. Mets are going to be around. Phillies never go anywhere. Cubs are probably going to be competitive. I think the NL is very competitive, not just from who the top team is, but the next tier down. You got 4 or 5 very good baseball teams in the AL. Yeah, it's, Toronto just made it to the World Series and they were so close to winning it, but they lose Bichette. The Central, forget. I think that division is terrible. Yeah, and maybe Seattle threatens the Yankees, maybe the Rangers.
Here's a team that you didn't mention. Actually, they're playing the Padres today. It's the Detroit Tigers. I mean, they get Framber Valdez. They got Tariq Skubal. They got one of the best rotations in baseball. They were one of the best teams in the American League last year until they kind of, shit the bed down the stretch. But when you have Skubal, you get Valdez, right? You got a pretty damn good rotation. Detroit, watch out for Detroit. I know you said the Central sucks. Detroit could be one of the better teams in the American League.
When you're an arrogant Yankee fan, you don't even pay attention to the Tigers.
I know. You're like, who's Detroit? They have a baseball team?
You don't even pay attention to them. Who haunts you if you're a Yankee fan? The friggin' Astros. That's who haunts you.
But, I feel that.
You pay no attention. And I hate to say this is really going to piss you off. You're a Dodgers fan. You pay no attention to the Padres.
No, you really don't. But the crazy part is all Dodger fans love to talk shit about Padres fans, even though they quote unquote don't care about all of us. It's interesting how that works.
It is. Jim Russell, thank you so much for coming on. This was an emergency call. I called Jim about 20 minutes before we did this podcast. I said, yo, bro, can you come on with me? I had a cancellation until next week. Next week, we have former boxing world champion Chris Algieri coming on. Nice. He fought Manny Pacquiao. He'll be on next Friday. We have a few pro athletes we're lining up for April, so it's going to be a fantastic April for us. But Jim, I've done radio with you, going back to
years,
14, 13.
Yeah.
And I said to the producer, watch this. I haven't even spoke to Jim. I was on the phone with him for 10 seconds. Watch, we'll bang out 40 minutes like it's nothing.
Yeah, it's easy. I'm ready whenever you need me. I'm on call, dude. Let's go. Lock it in.
I appreciate it. Jim Russell, make sure you catch him on the wrap-up show for the Padres. He'll be on with John Schaefer. Thank you so much, Jim, for popping on the Bet Big Talk Loud podcast.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.